Good evening. It seems a bit formal. We're a little bit smaller gathering tonight, but this will be a good opportunity to talk together more informally, and it will be recorded for our website, but we'll speak later about anybody that doesn't want to be on video too. So thanks for coming tonight to the City as a Site of Struggle Part 2, organized by the Vancouver Ecosocialist group. I'm McDonald, chairing tonight. And can you hear me okay in the back? Good. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are holding this meeting on unceded Coast Salish territory, the traditional lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. Some of the struggles our four panelists will be talking about tonight are the struggle against racism and colonialism, for livable incomes, fair wages, affordable housing, and literally the right to survive on this planet. Today in some places, and in the future, everywhere for our grandchildren or even children. These struggles are the same ones that people in many cities around the world are involved in at present. Most, if not all of us here tonight, would agree that the common cause of the problems we struggle against is the economic system we're living under. Capitalism, by its nature, necessitates the continual drive to produce more for higher profits, no matter how much damage it does to individual lives, communities, and increasingly entire ecosystems. But we also live in a specific place, Vancouver. So I want to return for a minute to our territorial acknowledgement. It was only in the 1890s, as smallpox was exacting its final toll on Indigenous communities, that BC's population ceased to be majority Indigenous. During the early 20th century, harsh, oppressive laws made any kind of Indigenous organizing, even that of cultural events, illegal. But the fight of the First Nations for their rights and sovereignty has never stopped. It is the original and most enduring struggle in this city. And it's continuing right now on unceded Burnaby Mountain. I raise this not only because of the ongoing importance of taking this unfinished business into account, but also to emphasize that system-changing struggles can be long and require great fortitude and endurance that sometimes has to extend over generations. Unfortunately, we don't have generations left to deal with the climate crisis and the other impending environmental disasters of land, water, and sea. At best, we have less than a generation to prevent the worst outcomes and find sustainable forms of social and economic organization that will allow all of us to survive and thrive. This urgency is what compelled a collection of socialists to come together as the Vancouver Ecosocialists in 2012. In addition to raising our own voices, we brought some noted North American eco-socialist thinkers to speak in Vancouver. Next month, on Thursday, April 26th, with the help of SFU's Institute for the Humanities and our friends in the Radical Learning Amalgam, who also have been donating to our organization, but we're bringing John Bellamy Foster, prolific American eco-socialist writer and editor of Monthly Review, to speak at the WASC Center. So watch for more details. We also have an active digital media presence, a website, Facebook page, and Twitter account that we post on daily. We also maintain an email list, which you can add your name to if you would like to receive occasional notices of future events. We'll pass sign-up sheets around later. Some time ago, we started thinking about organizing a teach-in and brainstormed ideas, such as what is needed in a socially just transition plan, a critique of market-based solutions to the ecological crisis, and looking at climate justice issues in more depth. The logistics of a big gathering have proven a bit daunting so far, so in the meantime, we decided to bring together some different activists in the city to talk and strategize informally. As eco-socialists, and I use the term to include people not necessarily affiliated with the Vancouver Ecosocialists, we tend to focus on future problems that runaway climate change will cause. For example, severe agricultural and water shortages. But as socialists, we can never forget the reality that there are many people lacking adequate food right here and now in our city and throughout the world. Nor can we forget that shocking reality that in Canada there are Indigenous communities that lack safe drinking water. As eco-socialists who spend a lot of our time with the environmental movement, it's really our responsibility to raise these issues more while pointing out the underlying causes. And it's so important that all of us in our different organizations and movements examine common causes, make the connections between our struggles, and figure out how to work together effectively. So tonight, we've invited all our panelists, including our own member on the panel, Gene, who has switched chairs. At our last meeting, he was in the chair. Now he's a panelist. We've invited them to speak from their own experience gained through their activism, rather than to feel limited to formally representing their organizations and their policies. Although it'd be interesting to hear some things that people are doing too. We've asked our panelists to consider the same two questions that we posed to our first City as the Site of Struggle panelists. 1, what needs to be won in your area or areas of struggle to make a more livable, socially just, and environmentally harmonized future? What ideas do you have about linking different struggles in the city which all confront the same forces of greed and oppression? It goes without saying that we would all like to support each other's campaigns and events more, but we don't have enough time. We appreciate that this group of busy activists has made time to join us tonight. So I'd like to introduce them. Kel Gerlings, on my left, is a housing and anti-poverty activist who was on the steering committee of the Vancouver Tenants Union and is community organizer for Raise the Rates. Their introduction to organizing was through student protests and direct action climate justice work in Morocco. Jean McGuckin was a draft dodger who worked in civil rights and the anti-war movement before coming to Canada. Jean has been a socialist for 43 years, fighting for workers' rights and for social and economic justice for all oppressed people. Past president of a union local at a paper mill in South Burnaby, Jean has been an eco-socialist for 6 years and a core group member of BROKE, which is Burnaby Residents Against Kinder Morgan Expansion, if any of you aren't familiar with it, for 5 years. And sitting at the back, I think many of you know Harsha Walia, with her daughter, is a migrant justice, anti-colonial feminist community organizer, author of Undoing Border Imperialism, and co-founder of No One is Illegal. She's also project coordinator of the Downtown East Side Women's Center.